Hello everybody and welcome to this session on easing back pain with me, Cheryl Lee, somatic educator. Now, what do I need to say to you? Well, first of all, a very warm welcome. Secondly, I'm just a little bit put off because I keep getting, the light keeps adjusting. I don't know why. It's dark here at the moment. And I've got a ring light on, which is kind of whiting me out. If I go too far back, then I haven't got access to the controls. So I think this is about the best kind of picture that we're going to get for now. So excuse my slightly ghost-like appearance today. Okay then, so take a moment to arrive in the session. Take a breath. And fully commit to the session now. So you're here, you might as well do the session, do it properly, turn off your phone or push it out of reach. And, you know, somatics is a practice of awareness and attention. So your attention does need to be on yourself and on your sensations and your feelings and what's happening right now, not what's happening on Facebook or somewhere else. All right, I know it's hard these days. We're attached to our technology, aren't we? All right, so just prior to the session, and let me explain that it is a seated session. I will briefly show you a possible setup. So I've got a chair here with it's a little wedge shaped cushion, nice and soft, but it just has the effect of slightly lifting my buttocks, which is a bit more comfortable. I have my feet on 2 yoga blocks because if I don't, my heel doesn't reach the floor, and that has the effect of kind of tipping my pelvis under. It's not going to kill me to tip my pelvis under, but why not be in slightly better alignment? And this pillow, because I am going to be seated sort of, you know, halfway, with my buttocks kind of halfway on the seat, this pillow behind just helps it so that I don't sort of slouch back. All right, now there's nothing wrong with slouching. To sit slouched is fine. It's part of, you know, the movement possibilities of our human body. However, when we're doing exercises and movements and thinking a little bit more about our bodies, perhaps it's, you know, it's more useful to be set up in a posture that supports us. So this pillow behind is nice and supportive, and it means that I can feel something behind me. So for reasons of proprioception, yeah, I am sort of almost forced to sit up, but without strain. I don't feel like I'm sort of forcing myself to sit up and I'm holding a lot of tension in my body to sit up to attention. Instead, there's just that gentle reminder from behind, you know, that I don't need to sort of slouch back. I've also got a couple of yoga blocks to rest my arms on, because I find that helps with how my collarbones and shoulders feel if I'm going to be in the same seated position for a while. So that's all of this is optional. You just do the session seated wherever you are and however you feel comfortable. These are just suggestions. Okay. Right, so let me set the container for the session as I always do, just reminding you that everything I suggest is exactly that. It is a suggestion, it is an invitation. You do not have to do anything, and please don't do anything that feels uncomfortable for you. All right, I want you to feel comfortable. If you are not comfortable, for example, in the seated position, you can still do the session, but you can do the session lying down. And you can do the same movements, because I'm going to be giving directions to the movements. So from lying down, you can still do the same movements we will be doing seated, but you'll translate them to the position you're in. Okay, so do feel free to move as you wish and when you wish. If you need to get up and sort of shift around, if you need to go to the blue, please do. Okay, so I'd like to suggest that you invoke the guardian angel of Goldilocks to watch over you during this session. So Goldilocks, she's really cool. All right, she knows what is good for her. She knows what's too much. She knows what's too little. So for this session, it's quite subtle. Some of the movements that we're going to be doing are subtle. So I don't want you to be yanking at your body and moving really quickly or with a lot of force or strain. All right, you shouldn't feel at any point during this session that you are forcing, that you are straining, that you are going into stretch and discomfort. If you're doing that, then your brain is going ahead of you and your brain is sort of doing its own goal. All right, that is not the goal of the session. The goal of the session is to be comfortable. So be Goldilocks, find your comfort. All right, and it might be something that you're not used to. In our society, in our modern culture, there is a lot of emphasis on end gaining, getting results. And actually, when you're doing a somatic practice, that's turned on its head. The results are not, we're not thinking about the results. It is a practice of mindfulness in movement. And in mindfulness, your focus is on the present moment, what is going on right now. Because we are doing a somatic practice, our focus is on how is our body? Where are the sensations in our body? What are the sensations as we do this movement? What are the sensations as we release that movement? What are the sensations after doing the movement? So it's about the process, not the end result. So it's very, very different if you are new to somatics and you don't quite know what to expect. So that's just a little heads up for you to be prepared to slow down. And I'm going to suggest, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being super slow and 10 being the quickest you can go, that you put the speed of your movement around about 2 or 3. All right, so we need to slow down the movement of your body so the brain can see. If you do movements quickly, then that's coming from where you store your movement patterns. All right, you don't have to think about it. It's like walking. We don't have to think about walking and putting one foot in front of the other. We just do it because it's a stored pattern that our brain has. So I want you to get cortical. I want you to be using the thinking and aware part of your brain, and that involves slowing the movement down. All right, so speed, sort of 2 to 3 out of 10. And also level of effort. We tend to do things with more effort than necessary. So it's quite difficult actually to do things with less effort and to do things in a more relaxed way. And that's the beauty of somatics. It is different. You're doing less, but you're having to, in a way, try a bit harder to do less. All right. So anyway, I've shown you my setup. So now we're ready to start. So you're sat in your chair. Now for today, I'm not going to give you a postural setup. Sometimes I do. I think that can be beneficial. I think that can be very useful. But for today, we're just going to get on with it. And we're just going to do some movement in a seated position. So be in your seated position. What I would say is, excuse me, make sure your feet are flat on the floor. If your feet are not able to reach the floor, then you can feel already for yourself that is causing a tension all the way up your legs, and it's affecting the position of your pelvis and the possibility of your pelvis to move. So just make sure that your feet can be flat on the floor. Okay, what else? Yeah, just be comfortable. Just be comfortable. Now, sitting in your chair, take a breath in and a long sigh out, and arrive now in the present. Arrive in your body. I invite you to close your eyes as we do a check-in, take a bit of a body reading before we do any movement. So closing your eyes, ask yourself, how am I feeling? And what comes up for you first? Is it emotional? Is it physical? Is it something to do with a sensation, or is it a thought? And then notice your breath without changing it. Very hard. Because as soon as somebody draws your attention to your breath, or automatically you start doing things that you think you should do with your breath. You start to try and inhale more deeply, and actually that can cause more tension. So just notice what you're tempted to do when somebody says to you, notice your breath. Do you try to change it? Is there something you think you should be doing? Because, you know, that may or may not be useful. Now, where does your body move as you breathe? Is there movement in your shoulders? It doesn't need to be, but is there? Because you're trying harder to take in some more air. Is there movement in your rib cage? And here we should have some movement, but we shouldn't need to strain to get it. Can you feel movement in your belly? Around the sides of the waist, the back of the waist? And can you feel any movement between your legs? Because we have a diaphragm and we have a pelvic floor, and the two work together in breathing. I have quite a few video sessions on breathing to explore that a little more. Today we're doing movement, but we're just checking in with our breathing to see how it is for you. Now notice in your body, where is there ease? Where do you feel ease? Too often our attention is drawn to where's the pain or discomfort, but I want you to notice, where is there ease? What about your little fingers? Are they okay? What about the tip of your nose? Sometimes our attention is drawn to parts of the body that are troublesome, and if we take our attention somewhere else, that's an opportunity for change, for breaking a feedback loop in the brain. And where do you have tension? So maybe just notice which parts of the body feel a little bit uncomfortable, but remembering as well, you've got other parts of the body that are not uncomfortable. And so you might be able to use those as a focus of your attention, where when you have discomfort somewhere and you want to just give your brain a break. Anyway, that's by the by. We're doing a body scan. So notice now how your buttocks contact the surface. Just really feel into your bottom and notice from left to right, is that contact the same? Is there the same amount of pressure? Or do you feel like you're leaning over to one side a little bit more than the other? And if you are, that's okay. Just notice, don't try to correct it. We're noticing what is. And how about your feet? Are the soles of your feet in full contact? It won't be, because there'll be, places under the toes and around the arch. But, in general, do you feel there's an evenness on the inside and the outside of the foot, and the heel and the ball of the foot? Or is there a sense of the weight moving outwards to the outer edge of the foot, or the weight rolling inwards to the inner part of the foot, or having more pressure on the toes and the ball, or more pressure on the heel? Just notice that for yourself. Again, without judgment. We're not finding problems, we're just noticing what is. Now, notice the backs of your thighs. Are they in even contact? Does it feel somehow that your thigh bones are rolled in or out in some way? And is that the same from left to right? Now, just briefly, for proprioception, I want you to touch the outside of your shoulders. So it's, basically the humerus bone, the outside of your arm. So that, what I'm calling that the top of the shoulders, but the side of the body, right? So just put your attention there, and then take your hands down and put your fingers on the outside of your hips. So my hip bone's here at the front, and then if I move out to the side and place my fingers against my hip bones, right? I'm just sort of finding in my body where my shoulders are and where my hips are, and putting my fingertips there just helps my brain to locate it. Okay, so now we've done that, you're going to place your index finger in your ear. But you don't have to, you don't want to, but if you feel okay, do so. So your fingers are in your ears, and I just want you to be aware of the fact that if your fingers were to meet, they would be right at the top of your spine. So you've got the very top of your spine here. All right, now make sure you can still hear me. Now, what is the relationship between this top of your spine and where your shoulders are and where your hips are, where you've just felt those places? So is there a sense of alignment with the space between the ears and the shoulders and the hips kind of stacked on top of one another? Or is there a sense of the head feeling forward or back, or the shoulders feeling forward or back, or the pelvis feeling forward or back? So just take a snapshot of how that alignment feels to you right now. And finally, as part of this check-in, notice your thoughts. Okay, what thoughts are going through your mind? Is your mind racing? Or is there a sense of stillness? And what's your mood? And now open your eyes and orient yourself back to the session. Okay, so as I said, I'm not going to give you a postural setup today where you're just going to sit and you're just going to be comfortable. Just think buttocks down on the surface and crown of head rising, but spine is relaxed. Okay, and that's as much as I'm going to say about postural alignment for now, but we're going to advance things next week. So for today, we're going to do some unbelievably simple movements, but we're going to coordinate them with the breath. And to keep it simple, we're going to do these movements in threes. Right, so we'll do one particular movement, 3 of them, and then we'll move on to the next one. So you'll be able to keep up and kind of predict what's coming. And in between these movements, we're going to take a resting breath. And the point of that resting breath is to kind of fully relax. We're going to do a movement where you pick up a part of your body, do some muscular activity, and then you release that muscular activity, and then you relax completely. And the resting breath is almost, you are cleaning the slate. You are making sure that you are not anticipating the next movement and sort of creating tension, getting ready, right? You're just completely relaxing. Okay, that helps your brain get in control of the body part that we are working on. So let us do our, just a word about breathing as well. So no special breathing. All I'm going to say is just try to breathe longer and smoother. All right, so I don't want you trying to breathe in more air and create tension in that way. Instead, just maybe think about going slower, going longer, and going smoother. I like to give an image of a balloon in your entire trunk, and every time you breathe in, there's that gentle expansion everywhere. So out to the front, out to the side, out to the back, a little bit upwards and down to your pelvic floor. So you've got this 360-degree expansion evenly every time you breathe in. And when you breathe out, there's just a small deflation, but not a collapse. All right, so you're keeping the structural integrity as you breathe out. And then as you breathe in, you're kind of resetting and creating a little bit more space, but you're never collapsing down. Okay, so we're going to do our first movement now. If you wish, you can, rest your hands on a block or on a cushion, just so that your upper body doesn't have to do anything. I want you to take your awareness to your left hip, your left buttock, and you are going to breathe in and press the buttock down, and breathe out and allow the buttock to return where it was. Okay, so that was just a practice and for motor planning purposes, so your brain can sort of catch hold of what we're doing. Now we're going to do the movement. Breathe in, press your left buttock down slowly, and breathe out. Allow that left buttock to return, so it's more of an allowing. And now completely relax and take that resting breath, clearing away any muscular activity. Okay, might feel kind of strange. Now see if you can coordinate the movement and the breath so that you breathe in. Maybe you're breathing in for 3 seconds or 4 seconds, and you are moving at a slow pace all the way. And then as you breathe out, you are allowing the movement to undo slowly, smoothly, and evenly, coming back to neutral. Okay, so you've had a couple of practices. Now we're going to do it properly 3 times. Take a breath in. The left buttock slowly, smoothly, evenly presses down. You might feel your weight hit. And breathe out. Allow the movement to return to neutral. Whatever picked up your pelvis is now letting go. Brain is the dimmer switch, your muscles are the light. Let them very slowly fade off, and now relax. Take that resting breath. Nice, good. Feels different, very different to slowly move like this and to synchronize the movement with the breath. Second time, take a breath in, gently, evenly, smoothly press that left hip down. And as you breathe out, slowly, smoothly, and evenly allow that hip to return. And now completely relax and take that resting breath. And again, Breathe in, left hip presses down. You might feel a weight shift. No strain, no effort, no force, no discomfort. As you breathe out, can you slowly, like a dimmer switch, all right, so there's no jolty movement, no jerky movements, like a dimmer switch, keep it smooth, return to neutral, and then switch off. Take a resting breath. Clear the decks. Completely relax. Now our next set of 3 movements. You're going to lift the left hip. Now, when I say lift, you're not coming off the chair in a big movement. All right, that takes quite some force. So instead, you're going to kind of remain with the buttocks still on the chair, but you're going to lift up. My buttocks still on the chair, but I've definitely felt a load of activity going on in my trunk. And I've shifted slightly over to the right. And now I'm slowly letting that go. Slowly, 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 like a dimmer switch, keeping the movement smooth. And now I'm completely relaxing. Taking that resting breath. Okay, now ready for those 3 movements. Breathe in, lift the left buttock, but remain on the seat. It's just a weight shift. Feel the muscles, that interplay of muscles. Now breathe out and slowly, whatever picked you up to sort of, do that small movement is now letting go. So control it finally, subtly, smoothly let go. It's more difficult to control these small movements because the brain doesn't have a clear picture of the trunk. It's got a really clear picture of our eyes, our hands, but not so much of the trunk. All right, so this might feel weird. It might feel kind of difficult. Okay, and again, breathe in as you lift the left buttock. Feel that weight shift. See if you can discern where you are creating tension. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly control the release of that tension. Whatever picked you up is now putting you down. Can you control it finally and completely relax? Take a resting breath. Clear the decks. Good. Okay. So now we're going to do that full range of movement. So you're going to be pressing down with the left buttock, and then you're going to be lifting the left buttock and then coming to relax and taking a resting breath. Let's go ahead and do that movement and just breathe as you breathe now, okay? So taking a nice breath in to begin, pressing down with the buttock. Just let your breath be easy now. And now really slowly, smoothly and evenly lift that left buttock, feeling the weight shift. And then slowly, you have to control this. Can you do it slowly? If you can't do it slowly, you're not controlling it. So speed is of the essence. Completely relax. Take that resting breath. Clear the space. And again, press down with the left buttock. Subtle, make it smooth, make it even. And then slowly pick up. Feel that weight shift. And then slowly, smoothly and evenly release. Notice the subtlety of what's going on in the center of your body, muscles that you don't normally think about. Now, have your brain's attention. Take that resting breath. Clear the space with that resting breath. And let's do one more. Press down. And then lift up. Feel that slow shift of weight. Can you control it fiber by fiber? Keeping it comfortable at all times. Okay, so don't let that over-efforting, end-gaining mind take control and lead you into territory where there's discomfort. Completely relax now. Take that resting breath. And just notice how you feel from left to right around the buttocks. Okay, now ready for our next movement. You're going to breathe in and you're going to take the left hip back in space and then allow it to float back to neutral and completely relax. So go ahead, take a breath in. The left hip slowly, smoothly, evenly moves back. Your thigh bone might move back. And then slowly, smoothly, and evenly, can you control it? Or are you tempted to do one big jerky movement? If you are, that's you not being able to control it. So therefore, this exercise is going to be good for you, right? Completely relax. Take a resting breath. Once again, breathe in, move that hip back in space, slowly, smoothly, evenly. And as you breathe out, slowly, smoothly, evenly, allow it to return to neutral and then completely relax. Take a resting breath. Soften. Okay, so I think we've got one more on this side. So let's just breathe in, take the hip back in space. Can you control it? Can you make it smooth? Can you make it even? No pain, no discomfort, no strain. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly, like turning down a dimmer switch. Allow whatever took the hip back to control its release forward and then completely let go. Take that resting breath to clear the space. Okay, our next movement is going forward in space. So when you are ready, breathe in as you take the hip forward in space. Not a big movement, no pain, no strain, no discomfort. Slowly move back. Just notice how comfortable is this for you. Are you trying too hard and kind of ragging at your hip? Because that's not what we're doing. Comfort, being Goldilocks, finding that perfect level of movement and breath. That's what we're doing. We're finding comfort in the here and now. We've got no goal. So again, moving the hip forward. Breathe in. And breathe out as you slowly, smoothly, and evenly, so almost with a sense of floating, allow the hip to return and drop into the chair. Take that resting breath. Breathe in, the hip comes forward, make it smooth, make it even. Breathe out, control the release. Feel the release and control it. Okay, put your brain back in the driving seat. Get your brain back in control of these muscles in the center of your body. Completely relax. Good. Okay, now let's put those two movements together. Taking the hip all the way back and all the way forward, back to neutral, resting breath. Okay, we're going to do 3 movements. Just breathe easy, breathe as you breathe. We'll start on an in-breath as we take the left hip back in space, and then just breathe easily as that left hip comes slowly through neutral and then extends a little bit forward. So the left knee might be forward of the right knee at this point. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly float back. And you might have a sense of the sitting bone slightly moving backwards and forwards now. Pause, soften your body, let your weight drop into your sitting bones. Take that resting breath to clear the space. And then let's go again. Breathing in as you take the left hip back in space, slowly, smoothly, evenly. And then allow that left hip to come through neutral and forward. Now the knee coming forward, the hip coming forward. There might be a slight twist. And then slowly returning. And just completely relax now, soften everything, take that resting breath. And I want you to have a sense of how this is a slight torsion. And it's kind of like a massage on the muscles deep in your trunk. All right, it seems like what we're doing is so small, it can't possibly, do anything. But actually, we're moving places with control that you don't normally move and you don't normally even really think about. So it's giving yourself that deep internal massage that you probably wish your massage therapist could get to those parts. Okay, one more time. Left hip moves slowly, smoothly, evenly back in space, and slowly, smoothly, evenly forwards in space. Feel that gentle twist in the center of your body, and then return the hip and allow whatever has picked those muscles up to completely relax. Take a resting breath. And notice, is there a difference between your left and your right? There is for me, right? I feel heavier now on the left. I feel more relaxed on the left. And I haven't even particularly been concentrating on the movement because I've been thinking about how to guide you. So with you in your interior space with your eyes closed, so you're cutting out any distraction. I'm not going to be giving you any visual cues. It's all verbal, so you can completely close your eyes. You kind of know what's coming in a way, but allow yourself to be guided through the movements as we now focus on the right side. So I do invite you to close your eyes if you're willing. And let's begin by pressing down the right hip as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, allowing the right hip to slowly, smoothly, evenly return to neutral, completely relax. Take that clearing, resting breath. And again, breathe in. The right hip gently presses down. Feel that subtle, gradual, fiber by fiber weight shift. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly, fiber by fiber, release back to neutral and taper off, fade off until there's no more movement. And take that resting breath to clear the muscular activity. One more. Breathe in, right hip presses down. Where do you notice the tension? Breathe out. Release the tension that you've just created, but taper it off, fiber by fiber. That's where you get the control, not by a sudden release. And completely relax, soften. Take that resting breath. Ready to gently lift the right hip. Breathe in as you lift the right hip. Feel that weight shift over to the left. Imagine sand in your trunk, and that sand has shifted over to the left now. And then breathe out slowly, smoothly, evenly. Allow the sand to redistribute and settle. Completely relax. Take a resting breath. Breathe in. Lift the right buttock. Notice where you feel it. Breathe out. Wherever you tensed to do that movement, you're now going to slowly, smoothly, and evenly release. Right to the end. Brain is the dimmer switch, your muscles are the lights. Switch off, dim off, fade off to nothing. Completely relax. Take that generous resting breath, balloon in your trunk, 360 degrees. Breathe in, lift that right hip. Breathe out, slowly, smoothly, evenly, return the hip. Completely relax. Take that generous resting breath. Now let's put the two movements together. Breathe as you feel comfortable. We're going to start by breathing in, pressing down the right hip, and then slowly moving into lifting the right hip. Make it smooth. How beautifully smooth can you make it? Completely relax. You're synchronizing all of those internal muscles so it looks like a dance. You've got the beautiful movement of a dancer here. Breathing in, press down with the right hip. And then keep breathing slowly, smoothly, evenly. Release to neutral and then keeping it seamless, keeping the movement flowing. Pick up that right hip. Imagine the sand moving over to the left. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly release back to neutral. Completely relax. Another nice image might be to imagine, kind of water filling your entire trunk up to your rib cage, and just imagine the sort of the gentle movement of the water. Maybe you want to try that as we do our last movement. Breathe in, press down. Breathe out, slowly, smoothly, evenly, return to neutral. Imagine that water shifting. And then you're going to lift the right hip. The water's going to shift again, changing what's happening in the inside. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly return to neutral. Take that generous, clearing, resting breath. Allow your buttocks to sink into the surface. Okay, now we're going to take the right hip back in space. So when you're ready, you're going to take a breath in. Slowly, smoothly, evenly take that right hip back. No strain, no pain, no discomfort. Feel what you feel there. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly release. Maybe you felt you could do more movement on the other side. And on this side, you feel like you're tempted to tug. Don't. Okay, so honor how your body is. And it is different from side to side, and it's different from day to day. So we're not trying, we'd have no goal. I'll say again, there is no goal. There is only what is. So what is? All right, what's there in your body right now? We're not trying to change it. We're just moving it, and we're putting the brain back in contact with that area. That's all. So once again, breathe in, take that right hip back in space. You can place your hand on your hip for proprioception if you wish. Your knee might have drifted back. And then slowly, smoothly, evenly return. So there might be a gentle twist in your spine as you do this. Completely relax. Take that generous resting breath. Breathe in, allow the hip to come back in space. No strain. Be Goldilocks. Breathe out slowly, smoothly, evenly. Return to neutral. Completely relax. Release into the chair. Release your buttocks. Now let's allow that hip to come forward. Synchronize with the breath. Breathe in as you slide the hip forward in space. Breathe out as you slowly, smoothly, evenly allow the hip to return back to neutral and then relax completely. Breathe in as you slide the hip forward in space. breathe out, fibre by fibre, slowly, smoothly, evenly, return, completely relax. Take that generous resting breath. And again, breathe in, glide forward, allow the hip to glide only as far as is comfortable. Feel what has moved you forward. Now let those same muscles, that same control, move you back, but keep your eye on the control and control it. Make it smooth, make it smooth. See if you can iron out any jerks and jumps and completely relax. Take that resting breath. So it's nice to feel the movement just going forward, just going back, but lovely, I think, to put the two movements together and glide forwards and backwards. And that's where we really have another opportunity here for the brain to get in control. It's not just of the hip though, is it? Because we know there's like a little twist of the spine. So it's of the muscles of the trunk, right? You're realigning the muscles of your trunk in a really subtle way. So let's breathe in, take that hip back in space first, and just keep breathing now. Don't hold your breath. Allow the hip to go through neutral and then to gently come just a little bit forward. No strain. If you find yourself straining and pulling, hold back and then slowly return to neutral. Completely relax. A lot of people new to somatics find that the first thing that they have to do is learn how to do less. Learn how to stay in that comfort zone. Yes, you might be able to go to there, but how comfortable is it? That doesn't mean you don't go to those ranges, but it means while we're doing this exercise, and the exercise is stay comfortable, that you do avoid uncomfortable ranges right now. You don't have to do big movements to get results, to feel different. So let's do that full movement all the way back with the right hip, only as far as is comfortable. No strain, no pulling, no sense of effort. If you have to hold your breath to do it, that's too much. You're doing too much effort. You should be able to keep your breath flowing. And it should feel like you are controlling the landscape, this interior landscape that's going on, all of the nerves firing in your brain. You're getting in control of that. Your brain is in a place where you don't normally take it. Not in this way. Completely relax. Let's do one more movement. Right hip comes back slowly, smoothly, evenly. Right hip glides through neutral. Keep your breath flowing. Right hip glides forward. Keep comfortable, no strain. Right hip slowly releases back and completely relax. Soften everything. Now just notice how your buttocks feel in comparison to the beginning of the session. Close your eyes for a moment, do that check-in of noticing the buttocks, the weighting left to right, the contact of the thighs, the contact of your feet. Just a quick check-in. And to finish off, let's do a few playful movements, unusual but playful movements to kind of wake up the rest of your spine and allow the rest of your spine to do something. So, tailbone. All right, do you know where your tailbone is? Well, think of where your anus is, and it's just slightly above that. All right, so if you didn't know, now you know. So you can put your brain there. So with your tailbone, I want you to imagine allowing your tailbone to drop down. So it's almost like it's magnetic and there's a magnet under your chair and it's drawing your tailbone down, helping it to release. Now,
you're going to circle your tailbone. So just think of moving with the tailbone. And we're going to do 3 circles one way. It doesn't matter which way, just pick a direction. 3 smooth circles with your tailbone. Notice there'll be certain areas where it feels easy to kind of sweep round, and there'll be certain areas where it feels like you have to strain. So don't strain. If you come to somewhere like that, think, okay, I'm straining here. So what I'm going to do is go back where I've come from, and then I'm going to move around in that circle, but with less effort. Changes it. It changes. Okay, I've got another dicky spot there, so I'm going to stop, move back, and then go even more slowly. And I noticed, well, if you were looking, you might have noticed, I had to close my eyes to do that so that I can really get into my body. So I invite you to close your eyes. Don't watch me. I'm not going to give you any more visual cues. So it's all verbal. Take your circles now in the opposite direction. Now go slowly. And if you come to a spot that feels a little bit stuck, stop, rewind, and approach that spot more slowly and with less effort. What you might be able to do is melt through. And if you can't, that's okay, just move on. Sometimes, you know, areas are a little bit more stuck than others, and we don't want to kind of force anything. But we might want to, you know, see if we can change something with our breath or our speed or our level of effort and force. All doing less. Make your next circle your last one. And completely relax. Okay, now here's a fun one. With your tailbone, this time you're going to draw an 8 or an infinity symbol, if you like, with your tailbone. So choose a direction and go in that direction. And make it slow, make it smooth, make it even. Do 3 movements. Subtle. How can you enjoy this movement more? What could you do to make it more enjoyable? If you've had enough of sitting down, you could stand and you could do this movement. Or you could be doing it lying down. And now stop, take a resting breath, and go in the opposite direction. Slow, smooth, even figures of 8 with your tailbone. You've got options. You can go slower. You can make the figure of 8 smaller. You can put in less effort. And the less effort you put in, the more you have to concentrate on doing that movement. Isn't that funny? Make your next figure of 8 your last one. Completely relax. Allow your weight to drop into your sitting bones. Let's go to the belly button. Let's do a figure of 8 with the navel. Okay, so again, we're doing some unusual movement. It's causing movement in the spine. And do you notice, is your head moving and is your tail moving, or is your neck and your chest locked? What happens if you kind of allow your head to be floppy and allow your tailbone to be floppy? Does it make it easier to move from the navel? And we could spend a long time doing this, but this is just a very brief movement experiment, just to introduce more movement through the spine, because we've been concentrating on the pelvis. Now go the other way. Take your figure of 8 in the opposite direction. Go for about 3 movements. And then relax from that. Put your fingers on your sternum. And now let's do that figure of 8 with the sternum. Just pick a direction. Okay, it's kind of hard to move from this area because you've got all these bones, you've got all these ribs at the front and the back of your body. So it might not feel as easy as the tailbone and the belly button. It gets easier. It's my 3rd repetition and it's starting to flow. And now let's go in the opposite direction. Let's go for 3 figures of 8. And I'm feeling that I would personally like to spend more time doing this. And I'm aware it's just a very brief exercise at the end of a session, just to wake up the spine. Okay, put your finger on your nose. So now you're going to do a figure of 8 with your nose. Go only as far as it's comfortable for you. Feels good. How can you make it feel better? Go the other way. Do you allow the rest of your body to participate? Are you allowing a weight shift through the ribs, through the pelvis? A little bit like the movement that we did at the beginning of the session, where we were pressing down the pelvis. I'm now finding that that idea is helping me to flow with the movement that I'm initiating from the nose, and feel like I actually am doing a movement of the whole body. And relax from that. Okay, now with the crown of the head. All right, let's do let's do figures of 8. Wow, this feels hard. I'm imagining the figure of 8. I've got a pencil coming out of the crown of my head, and it's drawing a figure of 8. It's a very wobbly figure of 8. Okay, now I'm getting into the flow. And now I'm allowing the rest of my body to participate. So my neck is releasing so that it can move along with my intention. I'm moving through the rib cage. I'm moving through the center, and I'm shifting weight. So now let's go in the opposite direction to finish. Yeah, that's it. So figure of 8. I'm doing this with you, trying to talk at the same time and imagining. So I've got a swirl of 8 that's white light on black above my head. And make that your last one. Well, I hope you enjoyed that seated session, and it's given you some ideas to play with. I think that the buttock lifting and the buttock moving, buttock sliding is so useful when you're on a train. It's so small as well, so you can kind of get away with it on a train without people thinking you're a complete weirdo. Or if you're a passenger in a car, it's dead easy then, you know. But even the small, the subtle movements you can get away with in everyday life. If you ever find yourself where you have to be kind of static and you have to be still, you're at the theatre, you're at a show, you're having to sit at an office desk for extended periods of time, then these movements can really help out and sort of refresh your brain and just ease some of those tensions that accumulate with staying in one position for a long time. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I will be here at the same time next week. Have a great evening, great day ahead, and hopefully see you soon.